No, I made Sarah the host just in case my phone dies.
Okay, Sarah, I think Sarah can hit record. Thank you, Anik.
Yes.
Is recording? Good.
Doesn't
Okay.
say it yet.
Sorry,
Oh yeah, it does. No, it does.
it says it on my end.
Yep, you're good.
So we should be good then.
Hey, perfect.
Love you. Night.
Okay. So recruiting has to be built into your whole Scentsy soul. You can't just say, I'm going to recruit on certain days or at certain times. You have to be looking, you have to basically be like your own Scentsy investigator all the time, looking for frontline, looking for new people in your team, looking for people to join you. That has to be right here. Okay, so a couple of the mindsets. So this is probably the most important mindset personally that I learned as a very brand new early on Scentsy consultant. And I have to just apologize to those of you on my team. I know you guys have heard me talk about these things over and over again, but these things don't change. What I told you a couple years ago still applies today. So these are the same mindsets I've kind of drilled into my team over the last 11 years, but it's because this doesn't change in this part of the business. The first one is called blessing versus burden. Okay, so how I learned this was when I was a new superstar. I was a superstar consultant. I hadn't hit director yet. I was in Hawaii on my very first incentive trip. That was 2010. I sat next to a girl named Jacqueline Roy, who many of you guys might know, at a pool at the Hilton or whatever the resort hotel was that Scentsy had a sat for the incentive trip. It's been like over 10 years, so my brain is foggy. I sat next to her, not understanding anything about recruiting at that point. I'd been in the business not even a year, not a director yet. And I just started talking to her, chatting, tell me about your business. What does Scentsy look like for you? And she was like, well, I have 1,200 people in my team or my downline. And I was like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Like, that was such an unfathomable number. I really hadn't grasped that full first year, what the capability and what basically the opportunity was. And she's like, yeah. And I used to be a nurse, but now I'm retired and my husband's a nurse and he's kind of semi-retired. And they were like in their early 20s. And I was like, meh, this is like smoke and mirrors. This is too weird. This doesn't happen. I just couldn't, but I was like, no, but this girl's really genuine. And you guys know Jacqueline, anyone who knows her, she is genuine. She's not a smoke and mirrors kind of girl. She's the sweetest thing ever. And so she told me about her business. I'm like, well, how did you get all those people in your business? Like, how does that even happen? And she's like, honestly, she's like, I have to believe, I think someone might be unmuted. If everyone can mute, thank you. I truly believe that I have the ability to bless other people with this business. And because I believe that so strongly, that is how I talk to everybody about it. I don't think about me, I think about them. I look for opportunities how it can bless them. So it's very much like how Orville talks, the arrows out stuff. Don't think about, ooh, I want to recruit for me. You truly want to kind of come at it from the approach of, look how awesome it could be for them. This could meet this need for them. This could bless them this way. And so she really explained that to me. And she's like, and when you truly believe that you have this awesome thing that you could offer other people, then why wouldn't I share it? And it comes from my heart and it's genuine. And I tell people why I love it and what it's done for me. And I tell them what I think it could do for them. So instead of thinking, so that's the blessing side of it. That's the blessing approach. So taking that approach instead of, and this is what I find a lot of people do, is the burden, the pest approach, where you think, oh, I don't want to bug them. I might annoy them. Oh, it's so awkward and uncomfortable. I think you might be really good at Scentsy, but no pressure if you're not. Don't worry, it's okay. But I just thought I might offer it to you, but it's totally okay if you don't want to join. Like, don't do that. And that's the kind of approach of the burdening, when you think you're being a pest or burdening. And I know a ton of people struggle with that because I've heard it over and over and over again from my consultants, that they really feel like they're bugging people and they don't want to be that pest or that direct sales lady. And so when you come across like that and you feel that in your heart or your soul, your personality is coming across, you're going to ask people all awkwardly. It's going to come across as weak and backpedally and not confident if you come across kind of like, oh, I don't want to be a bug, and kind of tiptoe around it and all that stuff. And so that's kind of the difference, is that you have to truly believe that you have something that you can offer them, or that Scentsy has something that they will truly bless them. And you're kind of just like that little bridge connecting those two together. All right, I just got to check out my notes because I want to make sure. When we believe we're being a pest, that means we're making assumptions for people. And you know what they say about people that make assumptions for other people, right? You don't know what they need. And you might sit there and think, oh, I would never ask that lady because she's already super busy. All her kids are in all these sports, or she's got a full-time job, or, oh, her husband or her wife or whoever, they make lots of money already. They would never need Scentsy. So I would never offer it to them. They don't need it. What you don't know is so much. You don't know what people need. Maybe the busiest lady, the busy sporty mom that you always see at all the school events. Well, we used to see at school events before COVID, but maybe that mom is actually really lonely. Maybe she is really, really missing a community. Maybe she is really looking for a fun, something unique, or a personal goal, or a professional something. But you've ruled her out because you've decided that she's too busy, or that she's already got everything together. It's not your job to make an assumption. We are not in the assumption making business. We're in the asking business. So you're not really doing your job when you're doing assumptions. You're not doing your job. I don't know what else to say about that. We are simply asking. And I see sweet little Lou right there smiling at me. Thank you, Lou. I can see your cute face smiling at me. It makes me feel so much better. Let me tell you a story about assumptions. And this one stings for this person. So I have a cousin who joined Scentsy on day one in Canada on October 1st, 2009. She lives about 3 hours away from me. She was a cousin, my first cousin. Our dads are brothers. I lived with her family in high school. She was like a sister to me, very, very close. She joined Scentsy and she never told me anything about it. I only ever heard about Scentsy from my husband's like third cousin once removed, like some random faraway connection. She calls me about 2 weeks after I joined Scentsy and she's like, hey, I heard you joined Scentsy. And I'm like, yep. And she's like, why didn't you join under me? And I'm like, I didn't know you sold it. And I was like, you never asked me. And she's like, yeah, well, I just assumed because Ryan's a lawyer, you were a social worker. You weren't on my list to ask because I just assumed you wouldn't be interested. And so, I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I didn't join under you, because I didn't even know you were selling it. Had I known you were selling it, I would have 100% joined under her. Then my husband's like third cousin once removed random lady. She missed out so big, you guys. She missed out so freaking big. She would have an organization of almost 9,400 people under her right now. She's no longer a consultant. She's quit a long time ago. But her whole business and family's financial life could be very different. A very costly assumption. So you never know who could be your next person in your business that could completely change it. Okay, so that's burdening to blessing and assumptions. You really need to come at it as what if I can help someone have what I have? Write that down. What if I can help someone else have what I have? If you come at it from that approach, it really, really helps you. That's one of the best things I say to myself when I come to people kind of with the blessing mindset. What if I can help someone, right? It's not me thinking, ooh, I want another frontline. I want some incentive trip points. I need to get them certified before January 31st. That is not the point. And I mean, it is, you want that to happen, but that shouldn't be your initial thought process when you're thinking about recruiting. You truly want to say, what if I can help someone have what I have? Okay. Okay. So what else I wanted to talk about is a lot of people will say, well, I don't really have anything to say. I don't have any fancy story. I don't have fancy trips to talk about. I'm not a high level leader like you are. I don't make all this money yet. So I don't really think that I have anything to offer to people. Oh no, friends. Can I tell you something very truthful? People that have been on the fancy trips, people that are at the top level of the company, that's actually not what gets most people. Most people see that and think, not that I'll never be her. She lucked out. She joined a long time ago. Us SSDs who people think, oh, we've made it in the company. Other consultants think, oh, you know, maybe people on our team, I hope people on our team want to strive to hit SSD and all that stuff. But the people outside of Scentsy, they don't care that you're a superstar director. They don't care about your name. I've actually been teased about my superstar director name. And so I actually get a little bit embarrassed sometimes to introduce myself as a superstar director to people outside of Scentsy. I often just say I'm a Scentsy consultant, because outside of Scentsy, superstar director might seem a little bit of flashy and a silly name. So trust me when I say the people outside of the Scentsy community already, that the potentials, the customers, the lady down the street, they will probably relate to you more if you tell them why you joined, because you know what? I needed some friends. I just wanted a community. I wanted someone to recognize me for something more than wiping diapers and bums and making dinner. I was lonely. Those are the things that people will be attracted to, why they might join. They don't want the flashy, rich lady driving up in the car with her jewels on. Not that I don't feel like Scentsy ladies aren't really like that. But what I'm trying to say is, don't say that you don't have a story because you haven't hit these things in Scentsy that you think are all so important. Okay, second mindset, very important. Here's another one if you want to write it down. I call it the attitude of expectation. You guys have to expect yourself to recruit. You got to move recruiting from a hope to a wish, and hopefully someone pops up and hopefully I get that random email saying someone joined my team. No way, man. That is not how it works. You have to expect yourself to recruit. And so if you have that attitude of expectation with yourself, it actually changes everything. When you go to a party, or when you used to go to parties, when you go to your Facebook parties now, dang COVID, hey, you need to expect to recruit someone at those parties. First of all, your hostess should be the no-brainer first person to recruit. And hello, Scentsy's made us these host exclusive kits, which we are going to talk about later on this week. So they're basically handing you that opportunity. So that host should be your first recruit person that you talk to about the business opportunity, and you explain to them the host kit and how to flip the party and all that stuff. If they're not interested, you go looking through that Facebook party, you ask questions, you play fun games, you do posts that get you to know some of the customers in there. You ask your host. Have you guys ever asked your hosts? If they're not interested in joining, have you asked them to say, hey, who of your customers do you think would be a good Scentsy consultant? That's an okay conversation to have. Why not? Why not ask your hosts for referrals on some of their customers? Maybe they truly aren't ready to join, but maybe one of their friends is at the party might say, oh, you know what? Sally Joe, she would be so good at this, and she might connect you two together. So you need to figure out a way in your Facebook and online parties, and however you're doing your business now, you need to find a way to be the Scentsy investigator and figure out who at these parties are going to join, and have the goal that you don't want to close a party until you can get someone to join out of it or have the host exclusive kit. So, but that's the thing, is the main thing is that attitude of expectation. You have to expect yourself to recruit, set goals. I used to stick sticky notes on my laptop and say 6 recruits for the month. And then every time I would get a recruit, I would slash it and say 5, slash it 4. And I would work my way down to my recruit goal each month. Because I needed something visual, and that helped me every day. Okay, I've got 2 weeks left and I still need 3 more recruits. Where are they coming from? And then I got to work. But I needed to have something visual to expect myself to recruit. If I don't do that, then the recruiting might kind of flow back to the back part of my brain where I don't think about it all so often. Okay. worst case scenario mindset. This is my favorite one. This is one who I know is, I know that you guys, there's lots of you guys on here. Trista, a few of you, Jen Martins, Lou. I know some of you guys, Wendy, have heard this tons, so just bear with me because you're going to be like, wah, 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 here she goes again. But this is honestly, truthfully, I think of all the mindsets, this one's the most important, okay? Worst case scenario mindset, okay? What is the absolute worst thing that could go wrong? This is what you need to start asking yourself. What is the worst thing that can go wrong when you ask someone to join, right? What is the worst thing that can go wrong? You guys go ahead and answer on the chat. What could go wrong? I want to see some of your guys' answers here. Tell me what you think can go wrong when you ask someone to join. Yep, they say no. Yep. Yep. Okay, absolutely, they say no. And you'll be embarrassed. Yep. I get embarrassed about every day. I do something embarrassing every day, Jen. Just hopefully that makes you feel a bit better. Okay. All right. So what worst case scenario, they say no. They don't come through the screen and punch your eyes out. They don't scream and yell at you. They don't come burn down your house. They don't shame you publicly all over social media. They probably just say no or no thank you, right? Most people say no thank you. Or heaven forbid, they just read your message and don't say anything at all, okay? So let's talk about who hears no a lot. Well, grocery store people hear no a lot. Lou says she hears no a lot. When I go to the grocery store, every time I go to the grocery store, there's always the little sales clerk who's probably not older than 18 or 19, who always asks me if I want to buy their little deal of the day. It might be lip gloss, it might be probably hand sanitizer right now, in a little basket at the checkout. And I never say yes. I don't need their little $3 trinket sitting right at the cash register. So I always say no thanks. Or they say, do you want to, if you're at Walmart, do you want a Walmart? Will this be on your Walmart MasterCard? No. Would you like to sign up for a Walmart MasterCard? No. Okay. And then you carry on, you pay for your stuff and you walk away. And before you're even done walking with your bags, you can hear them saying the exact same thing to the next person. So if those people who might still be in high school even can say that and hear no all the time and carry on, then how can we be like that more? Like, I know that those people don't have any relationship to them, and we do build relationships. So I know it's not totally the same, but it can be the same in the fact that you can literally separate yourself from, you need to learn, and we need to learn kind of as Scentsy survival skills to separate ourselves from their responses. Your value and your self-worth is independent of whether they say yes or no. Your value of a Scentsy consultant is independent of someone saying yes or no. Okay, let me just make sure I have some notes. I want to make sure I don't forget some of the stuff. And the reason why this is hard for us is because of the whole concept and the feeling of rejection. Rejection is a natural fear. And I feel like as women, especially, it's a real thing in our lives, in our friendships, in our family life, in our business. Rejection is a real thing that we all have to deal with. But that's where we really, really need to learn to know that their answers are independent of our happiness and our self-worth and our value and all that good stuff. It's not a personal reflection on you. It is a reflection on how well you're doing your business, because if you're not asking and if you're not hearing the word no, that to me, it says you're not working hard enough. I have seen happen in consultants, and it kind of makes me sad. No, it does make me sad. I have seen strong recruiters and people that used to be strong recruiters start to slow down in their recruiting and stop recruiting because what happened is they've heard no and they've internalized it and thought, well, that kind of sucked. That hurt my feelings, that stung. So I don't really want to have that happen again. So little by little, they stopped recruiting, or they didn't ask as much, or they didn't ask as confidently. And eventually they just stopped recruiting and their business stopped growing, because our business literally can't continue to grow if we don't continue to grow our team. So that's the worst case scenario concept is you really have to ask yourself if you can handle, and of course you can handle, you can say, self, can I handle this? And you say, of course you can handle this. You can handle people saying no to you, because no doesn't really affect what else happens after that conversation. It's a conversation that's come and gone, but all of the important things in your life are still the same. That is the main thing, is they are still the same. Your family is still intact. Your friends are still intact. Your home, your values, your faith, everything that's actually important is still intact. And that's what you have to think, is this is just a little conversation that came and gone. And whether they say yes or no, like the worst case scenario, they say no, but the best case scenario is they say yes and you have a new consultant. And if you don't ask, the answer is already no. So if you're not asking, then you're just, the answer is already no. So really, what is there to lose? If you can handle them saying no, then why the heck wouldn't you be asking? It just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, so that is, okay, so that's the worst case scenario one. So the three mindsets are burden to blessing, attitude of expectation, and worst case scenario. Okay. I'm going to tell you a funny little story, and then I'm going to give you guys a little challenge, and I'm going to tie in why I had you guys make that list of 10 people. Okay. When I was younger and I had little kids, and would make treats and candy, and I think you guys probably, a lot of you can relate if you have kids, that sugar isn't good for little kids. Too much sugar can make them go crazy. So I had to kind of control how much they would get. So when I would make cookies or treats, I so vividly remember standing in my pantry. I had kind of like a triangle shaped pantry with a door, and my kids would be sitting in the kitchen, and I would be in the pantry with my back turned, like eating a cookie or eating a treat. And I remember Macy being like, "Mom, what are you doing?" "Oh, nothing. I'm looking for something pantry." Really, I'm like sneakily eating treats because I didn't want to share with them, because I didn't want them, I was being a good mom. I didn't want them to have too much sugar. They'd already had their little amount. But relate that to our Scentsy business. If you are turning your back on potential people, hiding your treat or your Scentsy blessings or your Scentsy business, if someone asks you about your business and you just give them a one little easy, quick, one word, one liner, "Oh, it's a good, I like it, I'm happy," and you don't tell them the rest, don't tell them why you love Scentsy, what it's done for you, and you just kind of blow them off, "Oh yeah, it's my little thing, it's my side gig," you're like me, sneaking the treats and not sharing them with your kids. So don't be that greedy, sneaky mom, not willing to share something that you love and hoarding it to yourself, because whatever reason, because you're not. And I got distracted by Trista. Aw, thank you, Trista. But yeah, so that's just a fun, think of that little analogy. Don't be the sneaky mom hiding in the pantry eating treats. You share that cookie, you share that treat with your kids and with everybody. Okay, so here is my challenge. And I'll tell you why I made the list, okay? In the next 24 hours, who's ready for a challenge, guys? You guys up for a little challenge? In the next 24 hours, okay, I'm going to create a post on our foundation's page. I want you to text or private message to people the business or joint opportunity. And you can even say to them something super easy to them is, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing what I do?" Super easy way to talk it. And then what you need to do after, and I find this helps so much, is you follow up with a compliment. You tell them why you think they'd be good. So your best hosts, "Hey, Kara, have you ever thought about doing what I do? I think you would be an awesome consultant because you have so many connections or so many friends, or you buy so much Scentsy already. You spend too much on Scentsy. that you would be you would be an awesome consultant for, because you already know and love the product so much, and you already have like basically a house full of it. So, or you're well connected into your community, whatever the compliment may be. Make it genuine to them though. Don't just give them some willy-nilly thing. So you ask somebody if have they ever thought about doing what you do, and give them a compliment about why you think they would be good. Giving people compliments is really disarming, and it's really smart to give people compliments. It's very hard for people to be upset with you when you compliment them. So if you ask them and give them a compliment, you're not gonna get, if you get a no, it'll probably be a very kind, sweet no back. But the compliment that is the secret weapon, you guys. Okay, so you give them a compliment, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a post on the foundations page, and I want everybody to screenshot your conversation with them. We don't need to see your back and forth, but I just want to see a screenshot of your initial text message or private message to them. Okay. Now, the reason why I had you guys make that list of 10 people that you love, that are near and dear to you, that you couldn't live without, that your life would be really, really crummy if you didn't have them in your life, because I'm willing to make a bet that those 10 people probably aren't going to be who you're going to text message, because those 10 people are probably your really close family, your friends, your husband, your important peeps, right? Guess what? Those 10, do I see where I'm going with this? Those 10 people who make up your life, who make up the quality relationships in your life, those relationships with those 10 people are not going to be affected by this little challenge, right? They are not going to be affected. And yes, there's Carol's good point. 2 out of 10 are her recruits already. So, okay. So I'm willing to say though, for the most part of you guys, they're not who are going to be on your radar right away. Those 10 important people that you love and adore and are your peeps, right? So what I'm trying to say is, whether you get a no from these 2 people or not, it's not going to affect you really. It shouldn't affect you, because your important relationships are unaffected by what your little challenge from me. Okay, so that's why I asked you to make the list of 10. No one needs to see it. It's just your list of 10 to be reminded of who are your important people in your sense, or in your life, and to show you that those important things don't change whether you ask people to join or not. They just don't, really. So anyways, okay. And I think that's all I have. So yeah. Does anyone want to ask questions, or Sarah, did you want to moderate this?
Yeah, no, I mean, lots of really great comments just about how true it is. Totally true. I asked my cousin to join for a very long time and not until she had her 3rd baby and didn't want to go back to work because she's a dental hygienist and was afraid to work because of COVID, did she finally go, I think I'll join. And so we're still working through that, but and all of the things that she needs to learn, but she's doing really well. And I think that, like Rachel said, even $50 a month can make such a big difference. I mean, $50 a month can at least feed your kids peanut butter and jelly. I mean, so it makes a difference.
Yep.
I'll hop in really quick if it's okay.
Yeah, I don't see any questions.
So the $50 thing is that's one of the things to keep in mind. I feel like when, like Megan mentioned, that you might feel like, they're not going to make enough money with Scentsy, so it's not worth it, or they're, really well off financially or whatever. There's, just like she said, there's so many different reasons that people need Scentsy, and you never know, just because somebody's Facebook or Instagram or whatever highlights make it seem like everything's okay. you don't never know their financial situation. So just because somebody is an attorney or has an attorney husband or whatever, or a doctor or whatever, you don't know what their financial situation is. And a lot of those people that have really good jobs also have lots of college expenses. So at the end of the day, some of them at the beginning are struggling just like people who never went to college, because by the time they pay for their tuition, they're not that much farther ahead. And you never know how much of a difference $50 is going to make. And $50 can literally change somebody's life. $50 can make the difference in having a date night or not having a date night, which can change their marriage, which can, like we said, obviously benefit their life. So don't just assume that they don't need Scentsy, because everybody needs Scentsy for something. They just don't know it yet. And one of the things that I tell myself all the time, even now, is it's a little phrase I say in my head before I pull the trigger and ask somebody and I get nervous, like, oh my gosh, are they not going to like me if I say something? Whatever, is the people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind. The people that care that you're going to ask them if they want to change their life with Scentsy, they don't really matter to you anyways. They know they don't care about you. If they're going to get upset with you because you asked a simple question, then they're not people you need in your life anyways. And if they don't mind, then those are the people that matter. The people that care about you aren't going to care that you ask a question. They're not going to want to run away from you. They're not going to not want to ever talk to you again. They're not going to block you on Facebook just because you asked them a simple question. So don't get it in your head what people are going to think. And that, Mel Robbins, like she told us at reunion a couple years ago, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it and just ask it that quick. And, it's like, ask before you can even second guess yourself. Because you never know. You don't know how much somebody needs this business for sisterhood, for money, for even, I've known people, I have one of the really great directors on my team is a principal, like a 30-year principal. She makes plenty of money. She doesn't need Scentsy. She started doing Scentsy just because she loves the product. And some of the people on her team joined Scentsy, also really, highly educated, make good money people. A lot of them have joined because of the tax deductions. So there are so many reasons for people to need Scentsy that money is literally just the tip of the iceberg. So,
yeah. So Jessica asked, she said, people that she's tried to recruit tell her that they're afraid to take her customers because she lives in a small town and everyone knows everyone. So she wants to know how she can approach that and move past that response to get new team members. Do you want to answer that?
So she's saying that, I'll go back up and read. So I need to hear things twice.
That's okay.
So how should I approach that and move past that response to get my recruits? So if people, the good thing about the world we live in and work in now is that we don't have to just recruit in our small communities, in our small towns. So am I understanding that right? I would look outside of your immediate neighborhood. Asking for referrals from customers, I find, is a huge help, because if you live in a small community especially, then you might feel like you all know the immediate same people, but everybody that you know also has other communities that they're part of. So if you're having a hard time kind of getting out of the bubble of the small community, ask your good customers and ask your people. Say, hey, do you know anybody that could use some extra income, or that would like to be part of our Scentsy family, or blah, 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 whatever, however you say it. Ask the people that know you and trust you and like you for their connections. And it's really important. And that's where we tie in how you behave and act on social media is so important. If you're asking people for referrals, because nobody is going to refer you if they think that this is a Scentsy consultant that just complains or puts up yucky, vulgar stuff on social media, or all just wants to talk political, blah, 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 whatever political belief you have. That, like, you have to remember that you need to run a professional business on your social media. That's where people are. And if you want people to refer you and connect you, then they need to like and respect you. So be very, very, just be very aware if you're using your social media for your business. We always have that in your mind, is that people are only going to refer people that they like and respect.
I grew up in a very small town, and I had only been living where I live now for a couple of years. And so I didn't really know a whole lot of people outside of where I worked, because that's what I did all the time, was work, because I had to make a living and I had to pay all of my bills. So when I started, I had to figure it out. And I didn't recruit for like the first year, mostly because I was afraid of the word no, also because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But then when I started asking people and recognizing that it was a big, huge, massive blessing to people, was when I started growing. And when I started to see that growth, I was inspired and encouraged to grow again. And then when I started paying down debts and really working towards bettering my life and having things that I couldn't have before, it changed the way that I offered it to. So I think that you have to make sure that you're having parties too, because while, like, you might have a party and everybody in that party is from that town, but it's just like Megan said, like, then each of those people that come to that party have their own set of people that they might know. And so if you can get them to do a party, and the way that you encourage them to have a party is, hey, if you have a party, your friend gets like an extra bonus. She gets a half price item from your party. And then you tell their friend that, and their friend is like, hey, yeah, book a party. And so then you can just continue to stretch your people, so that way you're reaching people that are outside of your community. And it's definitely possible, because that's where I grew up, in a small town, and Rachel doesn't live very far from where I grew up, and April Nyman lives a half an hour away from where I grew up. So it's not necessarily where you are.
I live in a very, very small town, like very, like totally one of those that everybody knows everybody. Like somebody posts something on Facebook and everybody's calling each other, hey, did you see that? Like very, very small town. And I have 3 of my frontline directors. So directors, not consultants, not, just star consultants or certified consultants or whatever. I have 3 of my frontline directors all within 5 minutes of my front door. And we never have had issues with customers. We've never had issues with, stealing each other's customers, anything. And 3 are my frontline directors that I have personally recruited myself. I can get to their house within 5 minutes of my front door. And then that's not counting the other 2 directors that aren't my frontline, that live also within that 5-minute bubble. So that it doesn't matter. Like there's so many people that even my own sister, we have completely different circles. We have the same mom, we have the same family, but we have completely different circles. So my sister, which my sister is not a consultant, but my sister-in-law is, and then my best friend from high school is, and then my, best friend from adulthood also is. So all of these people are, and we never have issues. Somebody asked us this past weekend when we were at our retreat, me and my best friend, like, how do you guys do that when you have the same circle of friends? And it's like, well, we really, we were in 2 different classes. We have different friends. We have different husbands. We have different family. Like our connection, our bubbles are intertwined, but they also have their own connectors and legs that extend that aren't connected. So don't get in that thought process that we have the same friends, I'm going to steal our customers, because that's not true. You have so many people outside of those 5 customers that you might share, that might flip-flop back and forth to who they buy from, that are also going to keep your business running. And you can't get so caught up on those 5 or 10 initial people in your really warm circle anyways, because you're never going to grow a business if you're only selling to your 5 and 10 or 20 really warm circle people anyways. And the people that are doing well at this business, their circle has expanded so much in their customer base, and that's what your goal has to be. So you can't get stuck up on that. And if that's what your customers or whatever are saying, just tell them, like, don't worry about me. We need to do this for you, and I'll figure it out on my end, so that they're not worried about. You have to
remember to not be afraid of that too, because in the beginning, I was very nervous about that. I did wonder, if I recruit Susie and she takes all those people with her, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be able to meet my minimums because back then I was just hitting my minimums. And it's that mind goes back to that mindset of you have to set the expectation for yourself. If your expectation is, well, I'll try, and if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. No, the expectation is I'm going to figure it out one way or another. And so that's kind of how you can cross that. But when you make it just about them and you say, you know what, this doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Let's just get you going. Let's just get it started and see what happens. And the thing is, I always say to people, like, when you talk about what's the worst thing that can happen, like, make your $99 back and everything else is just a bonus. You know, it's just an additional thing that you get every month, and something fun that you can do. So start from the bottom and work your way to the top or wherever you want to be. Yep. Sharon, a customer or a sponsor got upset with her, a customer of hers, from ordering from her and not from the sponsor. She had never even asked that person to order, but it discouraged me so much that I told my customer to order from her if she wanted to do that. I did not want her to feel obligated to order from me. It was very discouraging, so I moved on to the people I know, which is not a lot, but people I know that she does not know. Well, that's a bummer.
My team has had issues like this before, where they've had, somebody's joined, and then, even between directors, not my personal team that I was explaining or anything, but within my downline, I've seen where, somebody's messaging me that's watching, but where people have had issues where they're like, well, she's stealing my customers and this and that. And I've had to tell them, like, your customers get to choose where they shop from. If they decide to shop from you, you can't then your friend can't get their feelings hurt, and vice versa. So your friend, people can't get upset because somebody decides to shop through somebody else, because people get to choose. And I know, and if you go into this business, and I really hope that everybody does, knowing that people, even people that are really loyal to you, sometimes people are still going to shop from other consultants. Not because that doesn't mean you're doing a terrible job or that you're doing something wrong, but sometimes their friend is going to have a party and they're going to buy, or whatever. It's going to happen, and you can't get your feelings hurt. Just like Walmart's not going to send me a hate mail because I went to the Walmart in Franklin instead of the Walmart in Middletown. Like, they're not going to do that. They don't get their feelings hurt because they know eventually I'm going to come back. And that's another thing with recruiting in the beginning, and worrying about how much, money you're losing off of a customer. And I remember at the beginning when I was getting my first few recruits and looking at their party order, because I'm a big party flipper. I will be the first one to tell you every party needs flipped. And I remember I was flipping a party. This was before the $59 kit. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to give her all of this PRV. And it was like $1,000 party. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's $250 I'm losing off of that party, is what I thought about it as, right? Because at the beginning I was losing $250. 25% was a lot better than the 5% I was making as a star consultant. So I went through that in my head, and you have to just get through that, and that mindset, and that roadblock of thinking. You can't get so caught up in thinking about right now money, and you need to think about long-term money, and money that's going to make itself even without you hustling that party. So granted, you might lose $250 this month, but then if you're making a consistent income of $40 or $20 even every month off of that consultant and them working their business, and then down the road, you never know. Like Megan said, what if you end up with one person that ends up growing a team of 9,000? And then guess what, guys? You're making probably $20,000 a month or something crazy like that off of that one individual, because that's the way that it works. So you can't get so caught up on that $250 when you can be making hundreds and thousands of dollars per month off of that one person, when that one person isn't you going out and hustling a party and carrying all of your stock and taking all of your bars and all of the things to one party. It's income that you're making while you're sleeping. So you have to think of all of those recruits and the income you can make down the road, and not just what you're going to make today by losing that sale. And then another thing too is you got to think this business is very cyclical. So if they join today and if they don't make you money long-term, guess what? They're not going to be a consultant very long. So then guess what else is going to happen? They're going to become your customer again. It's very cyclical. They're either going to do well and you're going to make money long-term, or they're not going to do well. They're going to not be a consultant anymore. And then you make money off of their sales again. So it's one or the other, and you can't get caught up on that.
Okay, any other questions or any questions?
I was just trying to find,
Go ahead.
I'm trying to find a quote. If everyone remembers Mary Christensen, she is a famous direct selling speaker, author. She actually used to be the Region 3 country manager when Scentsy opened in Australia in 2013. She has this infamous quote. I'm Googling it.
If you're not where you want to be, it's because you're not doing enough, or you're not. Is it that one?
It has to do with like your sales are your income for today. Your hosting is your income for tomorrow. Oh, Trista, do you have it? Can you come on and read it? I know what you're talking about, Anik. I think yeah, she's got a couple gooders. Okay, here's Trista. She's typing. Sales are your income for today. Bookings are your income for tomorrow. Yes, that was it. And and then it's like, recruits are your income for forever. There you go. So today, tomorrow, forever. So that's, to me, that if you can embrace and really understand that, and especially how that plays out in our compensation plan, then you should be looking to, like, you won't struggle with the, oh no, what if I lose the $50 commission on this one sale, when you can really understand that quote.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So who is going to take my challenge of asking 2 people? I'm going to start a new post on the foundations page that you can show your screenshot of just your conversation with, or sorry, just your initial message to the person. You don't need to screenshot your whole back and forth thing, but I just want to see what you said to 2 people. And remember, ask them, have you considered doing what I do? And then follow up with a compliment and tell them why you think they'd be good. That is more personal. If you just say, hey, do you want to join my team? I'd be like, meh, not even, I probably wouldn't even respond to you. If someone cold messaged me out of nowhere or texted me and said, hey, do you want to join my Scentsy team? I'd be like, eye roll. Well, that's really impersonal. Maybe, hey, how are you doing first? How's your family? How are you surviving COVID? Like, you got to add some personal dynamic to it. Yeah, so think of a way that you can ask and compliment them, and then also have a chit chat. Don't just be a spam. But somewhere in that conversation, ask them and compliment them, and then screenshot just that little part. And let's go from now until tomorrow night at this time to do it. So if you have to think on it, sleep on it tonight, figure out who are the 2 people you want to do. And what I hope, the most important thing, I would love it. Jolinda, you can ask as many as you want. If 2 is my challenge, but you go for it, girlfriend. If you want to ask more than 2, you give her. What I hope you get from this obviously it'd be great if people joined, and I bet you someone on here or multiple people on here are going to have a recruit by the end of the week because of this conversation. But what I hope you get from it more is that we'll be able to have a chat in 24 hours, and guess what? You'll still be alive and you won't have died from this, and everything will be carrying on like normal, and your 10 people on your important list will be still there, and everything will be just fine with that. So the whole, did you die? We're going to have that conversation in 24 hours about if you died, about having to ask these 2 people, and if it absolutely killed you. We'll chat about that. So anyways, okay, coming up for the rest of the week though, I've got lots of stuff. Tomorrow morning, if you're around at 10 a.m. live, one of my star directors, her name's Megan Lundgren. She is the sweetest girl. She did one of the recruiting videos for World Tour, and it was so good. She is a rock star recruiter. She is going to be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. She's going to pop on live tomorrow, and talk about some recruiting tips and tricks and how she's grown her business. She recruits, I think last year she recruited almost 50 people. The year before she recruited like 85 people. She's a rock star recruiter. She earns annual mentor all the time. She's going to be on tomorrow. So we're going to do that tomorrow. Jen Martins is going to pop on the page on Wednesday. She's going to talk about the compensation plan and show you just some really, really specifics, especially for those of you who are consultants that are just starting out. She's going to do some comparisons on basically like what commissions that you'll get from sales and then what your commission could be with team bonuses and at different ranks. She's going to break it down through different ranks, so make it really clear. So that's going to be really good. We're going to talk about the host exclusive kit on Thursday. Every day, I'm going to have a couple videos loading in the afternoon. My husband did a YouTube training series a couple years ago called The Psychology of No. And so there's going to be 16 videos in total. They're going to run through the week. I'm going to pin them as announcements. And so you can go back into the announcements section of our foundations page and find them and catch up on them if you missed them, but follow them. They're in sequence from 1 to 16. So they'll come throughout the week. We're going to have, I'll come on and talk to you about some specific things about, I call my hit list, talk about following up with people that you've talked to about the business opportunities. So we've got lots of stuff in store in the next 4 or 5 days. So it'll be great. Thank you. And I think that's everything.
Yeah, thank you guys. So Sunday will be our last official day for the group, but everything will be remaining in the group page. I'm going to go live on Sunday and I'll wrap everything up into a nice little bubble, and that would be great. So we're really grateful for you guys, and we're thankful that we can be here and leave you. And if you have any questions, just let us know. But go on and have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye, guys.